Hello and welcome back to Zero Cool Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about a MMO game called Rift.
Aber wir Gläubigen widersetzten uns, stürzten den Tyrannen und metzelten seine Armeen nieder. Der Besiegte griff auf die Maschinen der Skeptiker zurück. Die Geräte nutzten die Kräfte des Drachens. Kräfte, die sie nicht beherrschten. An diesem Tag erschienen die Risse. An diesem Tag starben wir. Aber die Götter der Vigilie griffen ein. Ihre Boten wählten jene aus, die auferstehen sollten. Nicht aufgrund ihrer Tugend, sondern ihrer Macht. Euch schenken sie ihr Vertrauen, ihre Hoffnung und ihre Kraft. Ihr seid die...
Now this game came out in 2011, and I believe I started playing it probably around 2013, a couple of years after it came out. And I bought the game without realizing truly what it was. I thought it was a RPG, fantasy, and it is a fantasy RPG, but it is a supposedly free to play, and you can play it for free. But in truth, it's a subscription-based RPG online, so massive multiplayer online RPG. And the subscription is $14.99 a month. And when I bought the game, I believe that's what I paid for. It was $14.99. And I got 1 month of subscription-based gameplay for free. I got a pet for free. And inside the box, not only did I actually get a game disc, which was nice, but I also got a map of the world, I think. I don't know if it's the actual whole world, but at least it's part of the world. Anyway, I got a map of a section of the world, let's put it that way. Because it's not all of it, I know that. But, and that's what was in the box itself. A couple of redeem codes, things like that. And I don't like subscription-based games. That's why I never played World of Warcraft. That's why I didn't play, Final Fantasy 11 or Final Fantasy 14. And I love Final Fantasy games. I'm not doing that. But I have played a few of these types of games over the years. Rift being one of them. Zodiac Age I actually played for a couple of years. What's another one? Conan, Dark Spore. I think that's about it. There's probably one or two more, and we'll get to them at one point. We'll get to all of them at some point. So I was very disappointed in myself for purchasing this game, to be quite honest with you. I should have read the box a whole lot better than I did, to ensure that I wasn't getting this type of game. I've always actively tried to avoid these types of games because I know what they are. I know what the intention behind them are. I mean, if you were to sit here and pay for an entire year of gameplay, it makes this game $180 game. Just absolutely insane. Just absolutely insane, truly. And then games like Final Fantasy are $240 games a year. I mean, it's crazy. And there's people who do it, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of them, just period. I think that that's an outrageous price for any game, to be quite honest with you. And I refuse to engage with that type of system. I would much prefer them to go back to just creating single-player games for consoles and PCs, and all of this type of gaming in that respect just went away altogether. But unfortunately, there's too many people who engage with it and pay for it, and these companies are making way too much money, so they're going to continue to do it until they can't. That doesn't mean that I have to help them, period. So, you know, that's kind of my viewpoint on this style of gameplay, this type of gameplay. So let's go ahead and get into what Rift is about. Basically, you're a hero in this one. You come from the future, and you're sent back into the past to stop the planet from being totally conquered by this evil being that wants to devour everything. That's the basis of the game anyway. And that's kind of how you start the game out. You're created in like a test tube chamber thing. You come out obviously fully grown and everything, and you're ready to fight, and you take on some quests in the future to power up the system that's going to send you into the past, and then you start taking on quests in the past. So anyone who's played these types of games gets a general idea and understanding of how the gameplay itself plays out. You go to area, you collect quests in that area, complete all the quests in that area, and then told to go to new area and complete that cycle again. Quests are relatively easy to figure out and complete, as all the things that you need to do so are usually located in the same general area, relatively close to each other. The monsters constantly respawn, and in this case so do rifts. You can close rifts, and you're even required to close rifts, and rifts are where the enemies are spawning from, for the most part. And as you do so, of course, you complete quests for doing that, and you gather new items and things to that effect so that you can be at the correct level with the correct armor and weapons to defeat the quest in that area. The storyline's really basic, as I said. All of the storylines in these are pretty basic. The cutscenes are usually pretty short and actually pretty well done, don't get me wrong. And there are reasons why people like these games, I get that. With this particular game, I played a good 30 hours on the subscription servers, and then I probably played 10-15 hours as a free-to-play player before I gave up and decided it wasn't worth my time. As a subscription-based player, every couple of quests that you complete, you level up so that you can increase your abilities on your skill trees. Every couple of quests you get better gear, better armor, better weaponry, which makes the quests easier to defeat as you're given new ones, and you progress through the story on a relatively decent pace, or at a relatively decent pace, meaning that you don't have to grind your way through anything. And that's as a subscription-based player, paying $15 a month, or $14.99, $15 a month basically, for the game every month. As long as you're doing that, you can progress through the story rather quickly. I would guess that there's probably somewhere between 50 and 100 hours of gameplay here. With all the expansions, it's probably well over 200-300 hours. You know, and that's just because of how long the game's been around and how much they designed and made for it, so on and so forth. As for me, no, I never got even through the basic storyline all the way to the end. I wasn't going to take the hundreds of hours that it would have required me to grind through that. And what I mean by grind is once you're on the free-to-play servers, you no longer level up every couple of quests. You have to redo quests and continue to hunt monsters well past the quest requirement for hours to gain enough experience to actually level up. And the drop rate, as far as the type of items that you get for completing quests, goes down drastically, to where you'll have to complete, and you can redo quests over and over and over again, don't get me wrong, but you'll have to do that as a free-to-play player 20-30 times before you get decent enough gear to move on to new quests. They do not make it easy for the free-to-play player to play their game for free. Truly. They require you to do hundreds of hours of extra work in order to complete the storyline. Now, as a subscription-based player, not only do you get a decent amount of experience and a decent amount of gear and items and things to that effect to progress through the storyline at a decent pace to where you're not needing to grind your way through it. You also get a whole bunch of bonus items that increase the amount of experience that you earn, that increase the drop rate for your items and armor and weaponry, and you get all this stuff on a weekly basis, every week. As long as you're putting in, I think like 5 hours a week, you'll get a re-up of all that stuff every week. I was putting in like 7+ hours a week, so I was easily hitting the quotas and doing my dailies and all the things you need to do to get your re-ups the following week, and allow me to progress through the story relatively simply. Without all of that stuff, yeah, it's a grind fest. Just an absolute grind fest. And I hate grinding. I hate grinding on single-player games, let alone a free-to-play. But that's Rift. So there is a lot of things to do in Rift. When you get around level 10, I believe it's right at level 10, it allows you to enter raids or instant adventures. And doing this will allow you to level up relatively quickly, especially in the state that the game is today. But that also means that you'll be overpowered for the area that you're at when you're playing the regular game. But you can certainly go play a raid at level 65, and it'll up your level to 65 so that you can complete that raid. You'll get a whole bunch of items that are way over level for where you're at. You'll get like I said, a whole bunch of level ups. You'll probably finish the raid at a level, 19, level 20. Depends on how many times you die. If you're paying for a subscription while you're doing this, you won't have to worry about that, because you'll have enough items to cover any of the deaths that you may have. Otherwise, you can always go and purchase items that will allow you to resurrect. You can also purchase items for item creation, for learning new skills. And there's all sorts of skills that you can learn, like mining's one of them. But there's several different types of skills that you can learn in this game. And you can level up those skills. You can purchase items that will let you level up those skills. There's creation items in this game, and you can purchase the stuff that you would normally have to go out into the world and collect. You can purchase all of that type of stuff as well. I wouldn't really say this is a pay-to-win game, because you don't need to pay to beat it, I don't think. But it is certainly a pay-to-play. And what I mean by that is if you're paying to play the game, you won't have any problems playing it. If you're trying to play as a free-to-play, there's going to be roadblocks in your way all over the place that will cause you to need to grind for hours in order to get around them. And all of that is deliberate because they don't really want you to sit there and play the game for free. It's not that you can't. You can, but they deliberately put roadblocks in the way to, what I would say, irritate the player to get them to make purchases. And all throughout while you're playing, especially in the free-to-play zone, or the free-to-play servers, I should say, you'll be getting, special discount prices showing up all the time. Advertisements, in-game advertisements, basically. Oh, for just $1.99, you can get this next thing that we know you need. Oh, for just $2.99, you can get this thing that we know, and it's 90% off right now. Gotta get it. And these things will always be showing up, and when you get past whatever thing they were offering you for $1.99, there'll be a new thing that they're offering you for $1.99 that will get you that next thing that you need. So, to say that this game has been monetized to the extreme at this point would be putting it mildly. The only, saving grace that it has in that respect is that you don't have to do it. The game's not a bad game. I can't say that it's a bad game because it's not. It's a normal game. There's nothing spectacular about it. There's nothing great about it. There's nothing that I would go out of my way to say is rememberable. But there's also nothing that I can say about it that's truly bad other than the pay scheme that they use on free-to-play players. But like I said, it's supposed to be a subscription game anyway, so as long as you're paying that subscription, none of that really applies. They want your $15 a month. And you can pay for a whole year. I mean, I'm sure you could probably get through this game in a year. I don't know about all the DLC and everything, but if you paid for a year, I believe they give you a month free, so it's like 165 bucks. Plus all the downloadable content is another 140 bucks. So $300, $305. I think that's right. Yeah. So a $305 game. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I would never pay $300 for a game. That's me. I mean, some people, I guess it's worth it for them. Some people, I mean, there's people out there that pay $19.99 or $240 a year to play a game. There are people who do that, and there's a lot of them, and I see that fact. I will never be one of those type of people. I would rather replay all of my old games like I'm doing now than pay $240, $300 for a game, even if I played it for 2 or 3 years. That's insane. Especially when you consider how I used to play games. I used to play, probably 20 different games at a time, realistically speaking. I would play, every week I'd play 3 to 4, sometimes 5 different games. And I would do that for 5 to 6 weeks at a time. Just switching out games before I would go back to the games that I played 5 or 6 weeks ago and play through them a little more. And I would keep doing it. It would take me a couple of years to beat any of them. But by doing it that way, I never got bored of any of them either. The repetitive gameplay that some of them had, the storyline I'd basically forgotten by the time I started it up again, so I had to, I had to become accustomed to the game again. I forgot the button layouts. I'd forget everything. And I did that to myself deliberately, so that it was like I was playing a new game, even though I wasn't, and I was just continuing a game that I was already playing. And I would remember how to play it relatively quickly, and I would remember some of the stuff that I had, learned along the way as I was playing these types of things, and then I would learn more, and so on and so forth. Today I don't play games that way. Today I play 2 to 3 games at a time. And I will play through those games until I beat them, and then I'll play other games. I usually pick relatively quick games, like 1 or 2 relatively quick games, 20, 40 hours, along with one long game that'll be 100 plus hours, and that's how I'll play. So I have one game that I'm always playing until I get through it, and then I'm constantly switching out the quick play games as I get through those. And it's not too bad. It does start to irritate me at times, but I find it to be at least tolerable. I truly hated just sitting there playing through one game from beginning to end and then starting the next game. By the time especially the long games, by the time I got through one of them, I never wanted to see it again. And that's just, that's my own mind. That's kind of how that works. But it's not that I hated the game. It's just that I had gotten so tired of playing it at that point that I didn't. It'd be years before I'd ever want to play it again, truly, and I know that. So I had to find something that was kind of in between the extreme of what I was doing and basically some form of order that I need to do now in order to actually upload gameplay and stuff like that to the channels that I am uploading to at this point. And plus I have a lot of other things that I'm doing, like what I'm doing right now, which are my reviews. I do 3 anime reviews and 3 movie reviews every week, plus a game. So 7 reviews a week. And at some point, I will play most of the games that I own and put those long plays up on the internet as well, because I enjoy the games that I have. There's nothing wrong with them, and that in and of itself gives me reason to want to continue. But I also enjoy, telling people about some of the entertainment that I've enjoyed throughout the years, especially when you look at the entertainment that's being put out today. That's quite literally not watchable. The type of content they put out today is meant to be propaganda. It's meant to be ideological. It's meant not to entertain. It's meant to indoctrinate. And I have no interest in any of it, whether it be a game, movie, TV show, magazines. I used to read gaming magazines all the time. I don't anymore. Just flat out. There's no point for me to even attempt, because I know it's just packed full of nothing but propaganda. The same thing with science magazines. I used to enjoy reading about new technologies and new thoughts, new fields of science that were opening up and things that were being explored. Not today. I mean, today you got people like Neil deGrasse, whatever his name is, and the man's an idiot. I mean, I know he's not a complete idiot, but he's ideologically captured. He believes nonsense. He believes absolute lies, and he tries to pass those lies off as truth. And it's just like, that's not science, man. I don't care what degree you have in whatever. The reality is that you believe blatant lies and you're too ignorant to figure that out. He's either too ignorant or he's willfully ignorant. Meaning he knows that what he's saying is lies, and he's being paid to do it anyway, and he doesn't care. Willful ignorance. But anyway, we're talking about Rift here, which I'm hoping that one day this game is like Abandonware, and they figure out a way to mod it so that you can have a single player experience and play through the whole storyline without needing other players. And the same thing for like the raids, to where the mod will just generate auto players, computer AI players that will complete the raid players that you would normally need, and it'll be adjusted so that you can get through that with minimal difficulty. So like I said, there's a ton of skills you can learn in this game, like weaponsmithing, armor smith, forger, I don't know, tanning. It's not exactly it, but being able to skin animals, basically. Runesmith, fisher, cook. There's a lot. Alchemy. You name it. There's a skill for it. And to start, you're only allowed to learn up to 3 skills at a time. And what you'll find is that certain skills, in truth, require you to understand other skills for that skill to be useful. So you really have to pick what skills you want to learn. You can unlearn anything, and you can start to learn anything that you want. So you can adjust that as you go through the game. By the time you get to a level 20, I mean, you'll really understand what it is that you're wanting to learn as far as the types of skills that you can learn and why you want to learn those skills. But you basically get access to that around level 10. And rune skills, rune making, allows you to enchant your weapons and armor. And while though you do find enchanted weapons and armor in this game, if you really work on those skills, you can start to put some really good enchantments on your weapons and armor that are beneficial. It's never going to make you overpowered, truly, but it does give you that slight edge, and that slight edge does help quite a bit, especially since a lot of this game has to do with, go kill so ever many enemies or go take out so many rifts and things to that effect, so you have to fight a lot of tough enemies. And having that little extra edge does make it that much easier to achieve these things. And the way that this game is set up, even if you choose to overpower yourself by going on a raid early on, it'll level out relatively quickly. By the time you get to level 25, you'll basically be up against level 22, 23 monsters, so you're not, way over leveled anymore. And by the time you get to level 30, you'll be up against level 28, 29, sometimes level 30 creatures. So it equalizes itself truly, even if you decide to go way over leveled. And that's assuming that you're not using your experience boosters and things like that to boost your levels as you go, assuming that, again, you're paying for a subscription to this game. Otherwise, over leveling and then letting the levels level out and over level again and let the levels level out and over level again, that's definitely a way to get through the game without it being difficult. Because everything in this game is designed to cost, especially if you're on free to play. So over leveling is a good way to get around some of that cost. Um, Same thing with like learning skills. When you need to use other craftsmen other than the ones that you're learning, it costs quite a bit, and everything that they have starts to cost a lot, and that's deliberate, so that they can sell you that stuff in the shop, because of course they can, and they do. You would be surprised, and they always seem to know exactly what you need. Who would have guessed? It's almost like it's programmed into the base of the game. Probably because it is. I really don't like games that are like pay to play, pay to win, pay to anything, to be quite honest with you. I much prefer games that you pay 40, 50 bucks or 20, $30 or, $5, $10 like I did for most of mine. And then you get to play the game, regardless of what the game is. That's why 99% of everything that I own is single player games. Because that type of gameplay I don't mind. And those type of games I don't mind. I pay for a story and an experience, and I get that story and experience for the price that I paid. Pretty simple, pretty basic, easy to understand. There's no hidden costs. Or there's no expected costs, or there's none of that, because it's not online for them to charge me to play that game. And we're starting to see some of the bad things with these games that weren't even designed to be pay to win and stuff like that for online gameplay. Like Phantasy Star Online. It's a single player experience. There is a multiplayer part to it, but there is a single player game to it. And to play that game, you have to be online. Well, with the way that they're starting to do things, you now have to purchase a subscription to several games, even if you don't own any of those other games, in order to play that one. Even though you didn't have to originally when you first bought it. Now it's a subscription service for all those games that are single player games, but you had to be online to play them. And well, they need money to support their servers and the maintenance and it was all a scam to begin with, people. And it's a scam now. And it will continue to be a scam. It was meant to be a scam when they designed it that way. It was meant to force you to purchase a subscription service to play your games, no matter what kind of game you purchase. That's what they wanted, that's what they did, and that's what they got. And now there are people who have thousands of dollars in these types of games, and unless they pay for a subscription service, they can't play any of them. It's insane. And hopefully people start to wake up to this insanity and put an end to it by refusing to play any of it, refusing the subscription services, refusing to have, their Game Pass or whatever the hell they call it, because they all have different names too, but it all amounts to the same thing. You pay for a subscription service to play your games that are single player games that you shouldn't have to be paying a subscription service to play at all. But because they made an element of that game that required you to have an online connection to their servers in order for the game to function, you now have to pay for it. It's got to come to an end at some point, people. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse. If people do not wake up to this insanity and say no more, they will continue to make it worse until you do. Alright, so the last thing that I really wanted to talk about with this is re-leveling. And I know that that term probably isn't the correct term, but you'll understand what it means when I explain it. And it's something that all these free-to-play games do. And it's one of the main reasons that I don't play them. Zodiac Age was really bad about it. I've seen playthroughs of Rift where it does the same thing. World of Warcraft, I don't know if they do it, but that's also a subscription-only game, so that's probably why they don't. But as far as your free-to-play stuff, like this game, like I said, Zodiac Age, probably all the Tryon games as far as that goes, or Game Ago, or any of the other companies that own these damn things. You have what's called releveling, or what I call releveling. And basically, let's say initially the game had, levels 1 through 50. And that was the base game and the base story. And by the time you got to level 50, you were capable of going through the entire base story to the end of that story. And then you're ready to start the next, section of the game. These free-to-play games, yeah, you can start the next section of the game, which goes from, let's say, level 50 to level 65, right? So how they'll do that is, as a free-to-play player, assuming that you're not on it, 16 hours a day, and you're only doing a couple hours a day, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, it'll take you maybe 2 years to get to level 50. And when you're at level 49, getting ready to finish the actual storyline for the base game, they'll send you a little message stating that, in order to keep the game, balanced and, proper for all the players, we'll be taking blah 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 actions for the new expansion to the game, da 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 da. So in doing so, this is da 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 what's going to happen to your character, and you're knocked all the way back down to level 35. So now you have to go from level 35 back to level 50 again, which will take you another year before you can even finish the base game that you are already done with, and that's before you can even start the new expansion. And then when you get to the new expansion, starting out as level, 50, and you try to work your way up to level, 65, when you get to a level 64, you'll get a similar message again. That says, in order to keep the game, fair and balanced, blah, 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 we're going to knock you down to a level, 55. And we're really sorry, but the next expansion, you'll have to work your way up to play that. Sorry, but not sorry, because they're not. You're a free-to-play player. They don't give a damn about you. What they're doing is they're making damn sure that you can't play it unless you pay for it. Period. So now you have to play through the expansion twice before you can get to. And what I found out with Zodiac Age is by the time you get to the third expansion, which I think was, I don't remember what the levels were, you had to play through that damn thing 3 times. That's why I quit. I had to play through it 3 times before I was able to actually, or would be, and I wasn't even for sure that I'd be able to go on to the next expansion, because I didn't do it. They did it to me twice in the same expansion, and I wasn't going to even attempt a third time. I'd already been playing the game for over 2 years. I was going on year 3, and I was like, no, I'm done. This is bullshit. Just absolute, complete bullshit. And it was, truly. It was just a way for them to block free-to-play players out of the new content, so that only those who were actually paying for the content would be the ones playing it. And that's not a free-to-play game. I don't care how you look at it, people. It's not. Neither is that in any way conducive to keeping, at least not players like me, to keeping new players or players who actually played the game, regardless of being free to play or not. And Rift did the same thing. And I've seen that in a couple of playthroughs, where you'll get so far through the base game and then it'll knock you back down to like level 45, I think it is. And you'll have to play through all of that again to get back up to level 65 before you can start the next expansion. Or for just $29.99, you could purchase this little package deal, and you can go right into the new expansion as a level 65. Yeah, I'm not even joking. And all of them do these same types of tactics. It's sick, it's twisted, it's wrong, and as far as I'm concerned, people should just stop engaging with it. I know they won't, but they really should. Because it's only making the rest of the gaming industry worse, because people do engage with it. People do pay for it. And as long as people are willing to do that, the rest of the gaming industry will get more monetized and less gamer-centric as a result, as a direct result. You know, why sit there and spend money to develop a single-player game when a massive multiplayer online game can make 10 times the amount? And we can really, you know, shaft them for money all the time. $3 here, $10 there, $15 here, $20 there, $30 here. Subscription service all the way through, plus everything else that you can purchase on top of it. I mean, as long as people are paying for this crap, they're incentivized to continue to make it worse and to continue to increase the monetization of it. That's why I stopped playing all of them altogether. Just, I'm done. I would rather play all of my old games all the way through each and every time than play any of this new crap, period, with all the monetization that's within it. I'm not going to give people who hate me money. I won't do it. I'm not going to do it. I would rather them go bankrupt and people who actually care replace them with new companies. But that's going to take a change in opinions, beliefs, and understandings for that to happen. People want to believe that this is the new normal. It doesn't have to be the new normal of anything. We, the gaming community, could change that normal damn near overnight by refusing to engage in what they demand we engage with, in what they continue to create, whether we like it or not. If people just stop doing it, stop buying it, period, stop spending money on it, they would change. And that change would happen rather quickly. A few of them would absolutely go out of business because they would refuse. Absolutely. Good. Then they should go out of business. We don't need this type of monetization in the gaming industry, period. They want it. They've been shoving it down our throats for years. That doesn't mean we have to accept it. And we don't. But I don't know what it's going to take to get people to understand that. To get people to realize you don't have to engage with this insanity, and that the only way that this insanity comes to an end and stops is to literally stop paying into it. That's really all it takes. Put your money where your mouth is. Stop giving these people who hate you money, and all of this insanity comes to an end. Because most of the companies don't want to sit there and go bankrupt as a result of the actions and activities that they've chosen to engage in order to fleece you for more money.
Further training as a cleric, I can assist you. Also, if you find that your role is not to your liking, I can help you with that too. Purchase a new... okay.
Trust in your companions.
Red beam of light up there. We've got to go over this way. Can I touch this? I don't know if I should touch this. Oh, it took me up. Okay. Got an artifact out of it. That is a wild hairdo right there. The crossing 1 of 5. Would that take us further up? Maybe not. Got to use our legs. Oh, there's a few things we could pick up here. All artifacts. Collect the...
Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I hope you enjoy the rest of yours. If you could hit the like, subscribe, rumble, follow buttons, all that does help. And I will talk to you later.